Hey everyone, Jonathan here, Tapestry Music, and this is another interesting piece that's come across my desk, and anytime I get something pretty funky coming through, I like to, show it off a little and tell you guys a little bit about it. This particular one is a vintage Fender Telecaster, and we've been getting some pretty cool vintage pieces coming through lately, and as it goes with vintage, there's always a story, a backstory with the guitar. There's always some mysteries that need to get figured out. So guitar like this, when it comes in, we'll sort of check it out initially, but a lot of times I need to take it apart to date it, verify everything that's going on, which that's what I've been doing with this particular guitar. Came to us as a 1976 Telecaster, and the serial number on the back for the neck plate there definitely dates to 1976, and a lot of the Tele looks like it does come from 1976, but backstory on this one is that at some point in its life, the neck actually broke and the neck was replaced, but nobody knew what the neck was. And so as I was looking at it, the neck to me just didn't look like a Fender neck. There were some things about it that looked a little weird, so I knew I had to do a little more investigating. And it's got the 70s tuners on here, transplanted from the original guitar, but this neck is clearly not from the 70s, and the contours on it didn't really line up with what most Fender necks would be. So I figured it's something different. It's got a Fender logo on the headstock, but that can be added on. It's got some lacquer on here that the rest of the neck doesn't have. So all of this tells me that there's something going on here. So best thing to do is just take it apart and verify what's real and what's not. So let's dive into it. Whew, look at that, like a pro. First thing I'm going to do, easiest thing on the Tele here, is I'm going to take out the control cavity and just see what's going on with these electronics. Got to keep track of those screws. You don't want to lose them, especially if they're vintage screws from the 1950s. All right, let's see here. So we've got a switch here, we've got some pots. Cool thing I can see here, these are CTS pots. I believe the acronym is Chicago Telephone Supply. Now, CTS is the brand that Fender has used for most of their pots. For the most part, going back for decades, very good quality pots, we love them. But what I particularly enjoy about pots is they put a date code on there. So I can see here, it's super, super tiny, so there's no way you'll be able to see this on camera, but there's a 137 number. 137 is the code for CTS. And then right after that, we've got a 76. That's the year, 1976, and then there's actually a month, 09. So these were actually manufactured in the 9th month of 1976. Now, of course, Fender buys them in bulk. They're buying thousands at a time, so a lot of times you'll get a pot that was made in one year that was installed in a guitar in another year, but anyways, helps you kind of pinpoint the time period. So these pots date to 1976. Serial number on the back of the neck dates to 1976. So that's all a good sign. I'm going to carefully put that back in here. Looks like it has been rewired at some point. Still a three-way switch, so hard to say what was actually done there, but we got that in there. The pickups, I've actually already had these out. I'm not going to pull them out right now because it's just going to take too long, but they certainly look like pickups from that time. So I'm pretty convinced that everything about the body here is legit of a 1976 Telecaster. So put these screws back in, then we're going to dive into the neck, see what's going on there. So this is really cool. Take this off here, and we got the overhead cam here. Check this out. So this is the color of the Tele when it was brand new. So it started off as a white blonde. Over the years, it's aged from various things to this yellow, but that was actually the original color. So you can only see that under here where it hasn't seen the light, and under the pickguard when I had that off earlier. I could also see that it was colored like that. So that's pretty cool to see. Let's put that there. All right, now, very carefully. So we had a couple little shims in the body here. There we are. Here's the body. But now, what we're really interested in is this neck. So like I say, it's got the original tuners. Looks like they were transplanted from the 1976 guitar, but the neck looked far too new, and I know it was potentially changed in the 80s, but even the contours of the headstock, the feel of it, doesn't feel like an actual Fender neck to me. It looks more like an aftermarket one. Sometimes you pull these off, there's no markings on them. Sometimes there's a number. You're kind of hoping that there's some sort of marking in here that'll tell you what it actually is. And thankfully, flip it over, boom, Warmoth. So there you are. So this was manufactured by Warmoth, a company that does aftermarket products, licensed by Fender to have that headstock shape. They wouldn't have shipped it with this logo on there. They would have shipped it blank, but you can always acquire these labels and install them yourself. Usually it's a water slide that goes on there. It's easy enough to get replacement ones. So somebody did that. They did a nice job with it. It fits with the Tele. It looks really good. Overall, this is a really cool guitar. It's got a lot of mojo. This is going to be a player's grade guitar, not really a collector's grade. But that's the beauty of it, is you can own a vintage guitar with a lot of vintage mojo, and maybe someone would actually prefer this neck over an old one. And pretty cool guitar. And this one, you know, I think it's pretty cool. If you do, it's gonna be hitting our shelves pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that on tapestrymusic.com. It's currently in our Vancouver shop. And if you've got any vintage stuff that you want to get appraised or consigned, or just have some questions about it, reach out to me here at the shop and I'd be happy to help you out. So there we are, another cool thing that's come across my desk, and want to make sure you guys all saw it. 1976 Telecaster, with a little bit of a mystery. Thanks for watching.